Hi, welcome back to my channel. So you guys heard about this submarine thing that's going on? It's crazy. I'm sorry. The story's like a week old at this point, and even if it wasn't, the shark hat's a little much. Well, his name's Phineas, so be sure to address him as such when you tell him he's fired. Yeah, the hair's a different color. It's not showing up as pink as I want it to on camera, but it's pinker than it was showing up before, so I can't be too mad. Big content warning for this video. Suicide, much like with Dear Evan Hansen, there's no way to talk about this without bringing up the topic. So if that's just not something you want to hear about, I get it. I totally get it. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. And if not, you're still here watching this video. Ashley Gavin is a comedian who has absolutely exploded on TikTok. She's got over 1 million followers, more than 40 million likes, and her videos routinely pass a few million views. Because she's a comedian, most of her TikToks are of her doing crowd work. That's the part of the stand-up job that the algorithm seems to like the most. It's a lot of calling out hecklers and roasting people. She also has a podcast called We're Having Gay Sex and does stand-up in between her crowd work bits, and she posts TikToks of those things too. She is a lesbian, as you might have been able to tell from the title of her podcast, or from every article about her calling her a lesbian comedian. Her style of comedy is pretty raunchy, pretty irreverent. If I had to compare her to somebody who's a little more mainstream, I'd say she's most like a Bill Burr.
I'm not gonna name names or anything, but get your fucking hand off your face. Let it out, let it out, let it out, let it out. Don't cuck me up here, okay? You too, let it the fuck out!
They're both loud and a little curmudgeon-y, and have a combative rapport with the audience. You know who I have a combative rapport with? Data brokers, which brings me to today's sponsor, my first ever sponsor, Aura. The internet has so much information, which is great for when you need to remember which episode of a random podcast has 8 minutes of alternate titles to the movie Big with Tom Hanks. But you know what's not great? The fact that people can find your full name, previous addresses, relatives, and so much other information about you because of data brokers. They're not even doing it for the love of the game. They make money selling that information to scammers, telemarketers, and whoever else wants to pay up. That's where today's sponsor, Aura, comes in. Aura identifies which of these data brokers are exposing your information and sends in opt-out requests on your behalf. They also opt you out of junk mail, which is easily my least favorite type of mail. You can use Aura for free for 2 weeks using my link on screen. Aura also has a VPN, password management, parental controls, malware protection, and a slew of other things to keep you safe when you're on the information superhighway. It's peace of mind when you're online. Protect your data and your identity at aura.com/HarryJames, where you'll get 2 free weeks. The link is also in the description. Thanks, Aura. Now, back to the video. She's been on the road a lot more, posting clips from all of her shows across the country, except for one. And that's what we're talking about today.
I went to a comedy show this last Saturday here in Indianapolis to see a comedian that I really enjoyed and was a big fan of hers until I actually went to her show.
This first video is from Olivia Neely. She posted it June 22nd, and she's talking about the show that Ashley did in Indianapolis a few days prior.
I was such a fan of this comedian that I bought 2 VIP meet and greet tickets so that way I could, meet her and shake her hand. At one point in time, she talks about abortion, and of course, I'm loud, just like she requested. I guess I was thinking I was being supportive. Next thing I know, she looks me dead in the face and the crowd is silent. And she tells me that I am the most annoying fan that she has ever had come to one of her shows. Immediately after that, she tells me to go unalive myself. And I, jokingly, but also very seriously, was like, I already have. She proceeds to tell me to go unalive myself over and over and over again.
That's fucking heartbreaking. That sucks. Obviously, Olivia gets a groundswell of people supporting her, and not that they needed to, but other things corroborating her story come out. There's a clip of Ashley on stage from that night talking in reference to the incident.
Tweet it, okay? Tweet that I am pro-suicide. I will retweet that shit.
And someone from that show did tweet out a photo of them with Ashley and the caption that she is pro-suicide, to which she replied, "I am." And from this one incident, more people start coming forward, telling their stories about what Ashley said to them at one of her shows.
So I went to her show when I was briefly a fan of hers, and she actually told me the same thing, to go alive myself. During the show, she said that she's testing out new materials and she has papers. She already told us that in advance, so we're like, okay. While she was saying that, I yelled out, I was a little tipsy, I yelled out, "We still love you." And like, obviously we shouldn't yell things out at comedy shows, but I was just excited and a little bit drunk. And she immediately tells me to go live myself, but with the K word.
I have also gone to an Ashley Gavin comedy show in Seattle, and I wanted to confirm that she has told people to off themselves.
This isn't a maybe not. It happened. It is happening. Ashley has said these things to audience members. Following Olivia's video, Ashley posted a few stories about some shows that she had coming up. You can't see comments on those, so it's a pretty safe thing to do. I'm sure she received a ton of messages about Indianapolis, because that's what all of the comments are like on her most recent Instagram posts. She posted her regularly scheduled episode of her podcast that starts out with a particularly heartfelt intro.
What's up, Bottom Nation? I'm leaving it in. Do not cut, Alex. Do not cut. Thanks for listening, guys. I don't have any tour dates until August. I'm taking a few weeks off to work on my solo show, which is available on the Patreon. It's really, really important to me, and I'm taking the time away, and I'm counting on y'all. Go and donate $1.
Anyway, the comments on the podcast are largely about the episode. There's the occasional one about the Indianapolis incident, but those are few and far between. It's been about a week, and we've got no video, nothing from her, no apology. Time out. It's time for breaking news. Sorry to cut you off there, Harry. Welcome to the news. I'm the news. Let's get into the news. Our top story today, Colleen Ballinger of Miranda Sings fame has dropped a ukulele non-apology where she says that as long as your intentions are good, the impact of your actions doesn't really matter. Instantly recognized as an iconic internet moment, most YouTubers have dropped everything to get out their video with their thoughts. Only a fool would write a full 10-minute satire of the song and then decide, this is too steeped in millennial cringe to actually be funny. I'm not going to post. Hop inside the discourse, Dodge Durango is not being nice to me. Supposedly I hit some people with the car, allegedly. But I wouldn't just hit a baseball team, let alone 3 if I hit them, which you can't prove. So how you lose, I win. I'm better than you. I'm literally a martyr right now. What a dunce. We'll stick with the story as it develops. For now, I've been the news. Back to you.
Thanks, the news. Would you think I was not going to bring it up? I wasn't going to make a video on it right away. I'm too slow at editing, but come on. Now, I can make the pre-approved thumbnail that all commentary videos are legally required to have. What? Getting back to Ashley, the topic of this video, she did put out an apology on her TikTok account. She didn't put it out somewhere else. She put it where the most people are, which is a thing that happens less often than you'd hope.
Hey everybody, I'm making this video to address something that happened at a show of mine recently in Indianapolis. If you're familiar with my work, you know that sometimes I include audience interaction and crowd work in my show, and typically it's very fun. In this particular interaction, I let my emotions get the best of me, and I way overreacted to an audience member's interaction. I took it way too far, and I am so sorry. And the reason that I talk about these issues in my stand-up is because I know how painful and isolating it can be, and I am trying specifically to break down those feelings of isolation. But in this audience interaction, I did not bring the care that I usually bring to the topic, and I hurt someone who has also felt that pain. And for that, I am deeply sorry. And to those of you who've reached out to me with support because you know where I stand on this issue, you know my heart, and you know that I want to be held accountable, I'm really grateful for your support.
Ashley only talked about what happened at the Indianapolis show. She didn't mention any of the other people who have said that Ashley said similar things to them, but she didn't pull out a ukulele. She actually says the words, "I'm sorry." So clears the very, very low bar that apologies on the internet have. I hope she reaches out to Olivia and the other people who she said these things to. That seems like the right thing to do, but I don't need an apology. I wasn't there. Indianapolis, who am I, John Green? I've looked like Hank Green for the last 10 years of my life, and honestly, that's fine. That's fine. The obvious and misguided question this brings up is, when is it okay to joke about something serious, like suicide? But that question is often phrased as, oh, so we can't joke about things anymore? You still can. Just people are going to have a reaction. I'm not going to say never, and maybe that's the white man artist bias in me. But I think that good comedians can make jokes about sensitive subjects that are not harmful. The issue is that's not what happened. This wasn't edgy material people thought went too far. I'm going to play the actual audio from the Indianapolis show now. It's a lot. Just know before we listen, it's a lot.
I had an abortion. That was the most virtue signaling piece of dog shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Don't pull back on me. That was fucking annoying as fuck. Shut the fuck up! I don't care! You're an annoying person! Try harder to yourself! Alright? You just interrupted the tension that I was building in a joke your mother should have warned you. Okay. Jesus, don't pull back on me. You know she was weird.
I'm gonna say that Ashley doesn't want this person or any one of her audience members to actually hurt themselves in any way. But this is way too personal a thing to say to a stranger. And then to think that she's repeatedly said this to a bunch of strangers. Like maybe in her head, she's like, oh, well, that's just how my audience and I talk to each other. Because she talks to an audience most nights. But the audience only sees her one night, so they're not used to that rapport. But even with that, how do you say that to someone who paid to be at your show? One other question I think this brings up is the crowd work model sustainable? Those are the clips that made her go viral on TikTok, not her stand-up jokes. Not that there's anything wrong with Ashley's stand-up. I just think that is an important distinction.
What I was so disappointed in is that even when my shorts were going viral, even with the link to the special in the short, people weren't clicking on it. And it made me really sad that so many of my audience who wants to come see me live are not interested in the art that I made for them for free.
Ashley's not dumb, and she knows that because most people know her from her interactions with the crowd, she's got to do that during her show. And then by doing that in her shows, it gives her more crowd work TikToks to post, which makes more people see her, which gets more people to her shows, which gives her more crowd work TikToks to post. It's a great cycle, right? Wrong. Anytime a YouTuber tells you a cycle is great, they're lying. They're setting you up. If Ashley did a show where she came on stage, held the mic by the end of the XLR cord, told a bunch of jokes that she had written, thanked the audience, and left, people would go home disappointed. Not because of the quality of the jokes, but because of what they were advertised. And I just think that is a very weird place for stand-up comedy to be right now. And Ashley's crowd work is about roasting people, which means at every show, she's got to get someone in the crowd to antagonize her so that she can roast them and she'll look like the good guy. So if you build up an audience of people who like you and come to see your shows, and you do one where no one antagonizes you, but there's still that expectation that you're going to go off on somebody, that's a weird vibe in the room. You're going to go off on much more minor slights, like someone wooing you when you don't want to be wooed. What is Mr. Collins in the crowd? I'm a big fan of audience etiquette. I love when audiences are respectful of performers. Believe it or not. But the crowd is such a big part of stand-up. That's why crowd work is so popular, because people like seeing comedians talk to people. It's a real fake conversation that the comedian has done 100 times before. That's the art of it. And when you have an excited, positive crowd who know who you are and are a fan of what you do, and when you have that 2-drink minimum that every stand-up club has, and when you have the instructions explicitly given to them to be loud, make sure you really clap it up here. I think it's a little unrealistic to think that no one in the crowd will hoot and or holler. That energy in the room is gonna flare up, and people are gonna respond to what you're saying. So I don't think this specific instance was inevitable, but I do think that a comedian who primarily does crowd work really laying into somebody who's a fan of them and who didn't deserve it, I think that was bound to happen. Ashley also talks about getting canceled a lot in her stand-up.
Is she hammered?
No, she's blind.
Oh. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed my career.
And on her podcast.
As always, my hall monitor, monitoring me to keep me from getting canceled.
And in her Instagram captions. But I just don't know if she's seen anyone get canceled before. When I'm inevitably canceled for a 9/11 joke, these photos will just be evidence of my fall from the middle. Who? Who has been canceled for a joke about 9/11? Not Pete Davidson, and he makes them all the time. He made jokes about 9/11 at a charity event for people who were affected by 9/11. He was one of the people who's affected by 9/11. Are you talking about how 18 days after it happened, Gilbert Gottfried made jokes about it? He had a career after that. You don't book cyber chasers if you've been canceled. But you know what could? You know what could get you canceled, Ashley? I don't know. I bet you do. I bet you do. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you wouldn't mind leaving a like or subscribing, I'd really appreciate that. Also want to thank our sponsor, Aura. Thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video. First sponsor on the channel. So thank you very much. You can probably tell because I didn't make one in the 24 hours after it happened, but I'm not going to make a video about Colleen. I think that if you're looking for more content about it, you'll find it. Someone else has made a video by now. There's also a Discord server now for people in this community. If you're interested, there's a link in the description. We have fun over there, all right? It's a lot of good pet pics. Again, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.